and welcome to my video on interactive PowerPoint puzzle games that you can incorporate into your online learning experience. In this video, I want to follow up and continue off from a previous video where I talked about game ideas that you can incorporate into your online course and give you some examples of some recent game ideas that I have used in previous courses and why this is effective, how this helps your learning experience, and how it can really aid in increasing student engagement, student retention, and student motivation. Oftentimes with the online course marketplace, we're seeing an explosion of online courses. I see course creators delivering great videos, workbooks, and quizzes. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with those sorts of methods. You can amplify and really enhance what you're doing to the next level by adding different kinds of games and interactive learning elements. The problem with videos and workbooks and quizzes is that they are very static. They are really good at just getting surface level understanding and surface level mastery, but really not challenging and taking the students to the next level. And so when we think about what makes learning exciting and what makes learning rewarding, we can look back on our childhood and take time to pause and think about what we liked as a kid before technology was huge. What I notice on a day-to-day basis as I observe kids is that they like to play games, from soccer or climbing trees or hide and seek or creating games using chalk outside. And so kids really tap into that creative imagination and really explore games and building houses with sticks or whatever imagination that takes them to different places. And so the idea then is that when we shift to online learning is that our brain sort of misses that creative play, creative engagement, and that creative participation. With workbooks and videos and quizzes, they're fun and they're beautiful and they're great just for passive learning, but they don't really engage us in the process. And so that's why games and different kinds of elements that really interact and encourage us to interact and participate will really help your learners continue with the learning process, learning experience, and increase the retention rate. And with a greater retention rate and engagement and motivation, your students are not only likely to complete the course, which is half of the challenge, but they're also more likely to reach the milestones and goals that are set out by your course. And when your students are getting the results and really achieving the kind of mastery that you've set out to demonstrate in your course, they're more likely to come back, participate again, and continue to buy from you again. And that's what's really important in this online marketplace, is that if you want repeat customers, you really want to encourage and foster that continuation of learning experiences that get students results versus just another product and experience that isn't memorable and is an afterthought. So now that you kind of know what the challenges are and sort of where we can improve and what kinds of ways we can improve, I want to talk about and show you some examples of 2 game activities that you can incorporate that are really exciting and fun, but also really interactive. And the cool thing about this is that this is designed in PowerPoint, and so PowerPoint is very accessible. It works with iSpring, it works with a lot of authoring tools, but even if you don't use any of the other authoring tools, PowerPoint itself and as a standalone tool can be PowerPoint alone as a standalone tool can be very useful, very simple, and also very effective. The point of designing games is not about the complexity or the fancy tools or the software. It's really about the whole purpose of what we're teaching and the whole experience of making this a fun and two-way learning street. So the 2 examples I'm going to show you are a flashcard, and this is the flashcard, and then the other example I'm going to show you is this jigsaw puzzle. Now, the context is that these 2 examples that I just showed you were used in a course that was teaching sort of trends, business trends related to COVID-19, and sort of talking about, what has changed societally, what has changed as a society, what are some different events, and to talk about how these events impact our decisions as business leaders. What we wanted to accomplish with the training was to make it interactive and engaging and effective. Sometimes PowerPoint trainings are very boring, very dry. There's a lot of text and there's not a lot of engagement. The goal with these activities is to make learning more exciting, more rewarding, and more impactful so that we're really assessing how our students and learners are doing and how we can support them to master these kinds of topics, concepts, so that they can make the application in their own roles. Our first example is a flashcard. And with this flashcard, what we're doing is we're using this as a quick knowledge check. And we're testing and assessing whether people are paying attention, whether people have identified what the events have been, so that later on when they make business decisions about how they market, reach out to new customers, or talk about language they use in their communication, they can reference these kinds of events as a justification. The reason why we wanted to make this an interactive flashcard was not just to see if they could remember. That's one level of knowledge check, but we wanted to see if they could identify and describe the events so that later on when they're making business decisions are referencing these events as they speak to their team, to provide that context so that your team members know and understand where you're coming from. So what I like is that we've not only given the context of different events, now we want to see if they can use them in their rationale and business decisions. The cool thing is that this is in PowerPoint, so it's very easy to build and not very complex, and it doesn't take a lot of time. The way it works is these are all flashcards, and each flashcard will unlock a different image, and we're going to see whether they remember these events as a quick knowledge check, and then later on at the end use this when they're doing their case study to say, we talked about these kinds of events, and these are the events that I want to reference in my case study approach for the business decision that I'm about to make. And so it's just very easy, but it's very low effort and doesn't take a lot of time to build. And it's also very engaging. It's asking and encouraging participation rather than just looking at a bunch of text or watching a video. In each category, clicking on the card and naming the specific event so that I can reference them in my business decision and say like, oh, this was the actual event that has happened. And this can be customized in terms of the box and color, but I'm really fostering this kind of two-way learning street, encouraging you to click on each box to identify the specific event. And then the second example I want to show you is a jigsaw puzzle. The idea is similar. I took the same concept and made it into two different examples. The idea here was that I wanted to create a puzzle piece because as kids we like to play with games, assemble Legos, build things. We like to be hands-on. And in a digital experience, it can be hard to replicate the physical experience of playing with games and building Legos or robots or building blocks or putting together puzzle pieces. And so I've designed this as a puzzle piece, a jigsaw puzzle, and each piece is a different event in our society related to the past few years. And the concept is similar again to the flashcard. Each puzzle piece unlocks an image, and you're supposed to quickly check and name the specific event, and then talk about later on in your case study as reasons for your business decision. The first puzzle unlocks one picture, the second puzzle is another, and it just keeps going. And the idea is you can change the timing, you can change the text, and you can make them different colors. I just picked some random colors just to show you as an example. But that these are different categories of events, each with a specific image that you can place in the back to reference and show your students. So now you've seen two examples. One is a jigsaw puzzle, and then one is an interactive flashcard. Now I'm going to talk about how you create the flashcard in PowerPoint. And so I've kind of done this with the second slide to show you how it works. So you're going to look for insert, and then you're going to look for the shape, rounded rectangle. So this is a rounded rectangle, but you can pick from any shape. So you're going to create the first set depending on how many flashcards you're going to have, and then you can duplicate that. And then so as you can see, I duplicate this so that it's 1, 2, 3, 4 again. And then I can assign labels. I could just name them 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to add the picture. I'm going to insert the image. So now in order to insert the image, and here I'm going to look for images either on my computer, or I can look for images online or run it through the search engine. Remember, if you use anything online, make sure that it's royalty free, otherwise you can run into copyright issues. What I've done here is I've shown you that, so all you have to do here is just insert the picture here. And then what you do is overlay this rectangle over this so that you're flipping, having a duplicate set. And then what you're then going to do in terms of flipping it is then go to animations and then select the kind of animation you want in order to have this turnover. Because then what you do is you'll notice that they have these trigger points, and that's how you know your animation is working. So that's just in a nutshell of how you design flashcard in PowerPoint. And the same thing goes with the jigsaw puzzle. These are all just shapes, and then what I've done with the shapes is just cut off the end of the rectangle and then added a circle so that it's a half circle so all the puzzle pieces fit together. I wanted to just explain and show you that in online learning experiences, it's really impactful and really rewarding to deliver a learning experience that is what I call a two-way learning street versus a one-way, very passive learning experience. It can really take your learning experience to the next level, increase your students' engagement, mastery, and lead to repeat customers. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, or feedback, and you'd like a copy. I'm happy to send these templates for you to use in your online course. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.